What is up, paranormal investigators everywhere? Welcome to Analyzing All the Pac-Man Ghosts, Part 18. The journey continues with exciting mysteries galore. No matter how many mazes Pac-Man goes through, no matter how much dots he eats in all the different mazes for all the years he's been packing around, he still runs into new ghosts everywhere all the time. And when you think about it, the journey of the Packster is never done because he can never fully defeat a ghost, you know? So anyway, enough with the small talk. Let's go into some deep dive with some more Pac-Man ghosties with Part 18. Number 1, Curly. Curly is a ghost that appears in Pac-Man Party Battle Royale, which was a phone game released in 2019. I've mentioned this game before, when I talked about a bunch of other ghosts, but one of the things that I regretted to mention was that a lot of ghosts in this game wind up having really cool little hats that they get. All kinds of random looking hats from pop culture, and one of the things I noticed was a ghost that had curlers for hair, like a wig or something. And this ghost reminds me of a judge in court, you know? The ghost would look so much cooler if the ghost had a black, vest and the gavel and everything. Also kind of reminds me of George Washington. No, this ghost doesn't really have a name. I nicknamed him Curly because of, the curly wig. And I would basically think it's cool if they made him a judge, actually. It's not a bad idea for a Pac-Man ghost. So it's not Curly from the Three Stooges. It's Curly, the Judge Pac-Man ghost. It would be neat if there was a Pac-Man game where all the ghosts that you encounter are all famous people from history. Like imagine if there was a Michael Jackson ghost. And Michael Jackson also wrote a song called Ghost. But what if there was a ghost in Pac-Man that was the ghost of George Washington? It would look like Curly, right? The only thing Curly needs to make it perfect is to have wooden teeth. Anyway, on to the next ghost. Sword Ghosts. Sword Ghosts appear in the medieval level in Pac-Man The Adventures in Time, released for the PC back in the 90s. I've mentioned this medieval level before in my other Pac-Man Ghost videos, where I talked about other ghosts from that level, but I forgot to mention the Sword Ghosts. The most interesting thing about them is that they have a sharp blade as a weapon. They actually do carry swords, so they could stab Pac-Man and kill him, right? But the ghosts already have the power to kill Pac-Man just by touching him. So the more I think about it, a ghost having a weapon, like a sword, is pretty useless if it's not even needed. But it's obviously for decoration, and they're just trying to be cute and fun and think of every costume imaginable for the ghosts. And that's one of the most amazing things about Pac-Man The Adventures in Time, the underrated Pac-Man game. I love the sword ghosts, they're so badass. And it's also pretty serious. The only other time where a Pac-Man ghost had a serious weapon was when I joked about the pink ghost named Killer from Crazy Otto. And I joked around and said that that pink ghost from Crazy Otto, named Killer, must have a knife, hidden away or something. The Pac-Man games are fairly innocent, so of course we'd never see blood in a Pac-Man game. So it's all cool. Number 3, Frankie.
Joey, Paul, Willie, and Frankie.
Frankie is a ghost from a bootleg Pac-Man game known as I picked out Frankie as a ghost in particular compared to the other ghosts in it because I found his name to be the most memorable and it stood out to me for some reason. In one of my older Pac-Man ghost videos, I talked about a ghost that looked like Frankenstein from Ms. Pac-Man Maze Madness, and I gave that ghost the nickname of Frankie. So I guess this is another Frankie ghost. I love the name of this bootleg, right? I mean, isn't that what Pac-Man is? The whole game feels like your reaction is, holy shit, you could die at any moment, and only your quick wits and skills with the Packster are able to get you through this hardcore maze with all these ghosts trying to attack you and kill you. That intro where they're wobbling their eyeballs, I can watch that over and over again. That is so awesome. Number 4, Pineapple Ghost. The Pineapple Ghost, or the nickname I'm giving it, is from Pac-Man Battle Royale. Another name you could call this ghost is the Palm Tree Ghost. Strong tropical vibes come from this ghost. This is a kind of ghost you'd imagine seeing in the first level for Pac-Man World on the PS1, or a beach-themed level in Pac-Man. Maybe it would have been cool if they made a full-on beach-themed Pac-Man game, and all the ghosts could be tropical-themed, you know, like tiki ghosts. And the more I think about it, the Pac-Man ghosts, of all the fruits, they look the most like a pineapple, right? That or jelly beans. Number 5. Joyman Martian Ghosts. There's an old Pac-Man bootleg known as Joyman. All the enemies are, well, aliens, I would say. They're Martians. But are they Martian ghosts? They could easily be. I mean, who are we to say? I mean, the game itself doesn't say. So, a Pac-Man ghost can kill Pac-Man by touching him. Well, if the Martians or the aliens, if they can touch Pac-Man, wouldn't they automatically be able to kill him as well? So how could we tell if these are alien ghosts or just plain old aliens that are alive? I wish they had their own names, but hey, it's okay because at least they have awesome designs. They're the classic one eyeball with the antennas. They look kind of like a combination of Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. and the ears look like Shrek. These old school Pac-Man bootlegs never cease to amaze me. Get it? Amaze me? Okay, sorry. Also, it's kind of perfect now that I think about it, what I just said before, how it's like a combination of Mike Wazowski and Shrek, because they're both monsters, right? So, it's perfect. Ghosts, the monsters. Yeah, how weird. Number 6, Charlotte the Spider Ghost. Charlotte comes from one of my favorite Pac-Man bootlegs, known as Caterpillar, from 1981. How neat is that? Only 1 year after Pac-Man, there were Pac-Man bootlegs. I love the concept of this game, with Pac-Man now being a caterpillar, and all of his enemies are the killer spiders. The names in this game are really cool. I picked out Charlotte in particular because it definitely reminds me of Charlotte's Web. Is the ghost or the spider of Charlotte in this game, is that Charlotte from Charlotte's Web? You know, that old animated movie? I mean, they're both blue, right? So it could easily be Charlotte, right? Although Charlotte was a nice spider in that animated feature film. So I guess it wouldn't want to kill the caterpillars. I mean, Charlotte in that movie was nice to Wilbur, the pig. But does that mean we should assume that Charlotte was nice to all the caterpillars? Maybe not. I'd also like to say that design-wise, this is the most creative looking of all the Pac-Man bootlegs. Just the way they designed the mazes and stuff. Number 7. Jack. Jack is from the DS game Pac-N-Roll. He was the guitar to the evil ghost Glovis, the main villain of the game. Now, we do know that Glovis is a very powerful ghost. I mean, that's what they say, at least. Spoilers, by the end of the game, it's revealed that Glovis actually isn't as powerful as they foreseen. But Jack is, in fact, the guitar that is alive, controlled by Glovis. It's confusing, and the game doesn't state this, but shouldn't we assume that his guitar, known as Jack, is a ghost? You know, a guitar ghost? It could just be a guitar that's somehow alive because, you know, it's a cartoon. But Glovis himself is a ghost, so doesn't it make sense for him to have a guitar that's a ghost as well? Thinking about that is so deep. It's like a spiritual thing. I mean, when he was alive, was he killed with a guitar? And then him and his guitar came to life, you know, as a ghost. Since Jack is, we can assume it's Jack, the guitar of his, is a part of him as a person. And if his guitar is a part of him as a person, then can't we say that his guitar is also a ghost as well? And since the character's alive, it could still make sense. The character of Jack in particular actually shows that he has more personality than Glovis himself. Possibly is Jack more talented than Glovis? Because by the end of that game, they kind of portray Glovis as like a big loser. That he's like overrated or something. In one video, I talked about how I thought Glovis was the ghost of Elvis because of the names, and he also calls himself the king of rock and roll, by the way. So maybe that's what they're going for. Also, by the end of that game, I think that Jack shows more personality. He really comes alive in that final cutscene where he gets all, you know, mad at him and stuff. It's quite interesting. And number 8, Scarhead. Scarhead comes from a really cool Pac-Man bootleg known as Buccaneer, a pirate-themed Pac-Man game. Possibly the coolest idea you could ever come up with. The names of the skulls as your enemies in this game are really cool. and memorable, I think, but Scarhead really stood out to me. It's definitely the scariest name of all of them. And also, do the skulls in this game represent ghosts? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you die, you become a skeleton, then you become a ghost, right? So do the skulls represent ghosts, that are coming alive, or are they just skeletons? Something to think about, I guess. Is Scarhead the ghost of Scarface, from the movie? And now this is his head. This is his skull. So now Scarface, his skull is now Scarhead. I also would argue that this is definitely the creepiest Pac-Man bootleg. And could it be the creepiest Pac-Man game ever? Especially the intro scene where they list all their names. But it's more like in a fun, cutesy kind of way than in a scary way, I know. But it still has like an eerie feeling to it, which is pretty badass. Anyway, guys, this was part 18. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I still would like to get to part 20, but we'll see where this goes. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And please hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. My name is SuperPet98, and thank you all for watching. See you all next time.